situation escalates as Officer Eric Caseball pulls out his service weapon, pointing it at two other unarmed teens who quickly run away.
Our praises. Shalom, sissies. It's so good to be here with
Shalom.
Shalom.
you.
Shalom.
So we're back for another one. This is the part two and probably the final of our this the reading we were doing on the Willie Lynch letter, The Making of a Slave. For those who want to follow along on your PDF or if you have the book, please do so. We're just going to be finishing up tonight. There was a part one that was posted onto the YouTube, which is Meek and Modest Princesses of Zion. So go ahead and check that out. And then come back to this video if you haven't seen it. It was very powerful, very nice video. And we got a lot off of that first reading in itself. A lot of people like to say that this Willie Lynch letter is not true, and we're just reading through it to see if it is or not. Do we line up with what's being said? Are we still living the effects of what's being said, which will make it true, or are we just is it just a letter? So to start things off real quick, we'll go ahead like we always do and read our Titus 2 when you're ready, sis.
All right. Titus 2 and 1. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine. Titus 2 and 3. You want to read that? Okay. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. All praises.
All praises. Shalom. The water, sis. The water. All praises. So again, this chat, this discussion is for women only. So and if you have any questions, if you have a head at home, go to your head and ask your head questions if you're allowed to, or if you're a single sister, if you have any questions or comments below. And we also have an email you can reach out. We always take questions and comments to heart, and with love and meekness and spirit we'll comment back the best that we can. But again, this is a safe space for us to just come together and grow with one another, and just learn from the things that we've been through, and to learn together moving forward in the things that we were awakened to in the truth in this journey to the Most High. So with that being said, we are going to continue and pick up at page, well, it might not be a page for you, but it's around page 28 on my PDF. And so it says, a brief discourse in offspring development will shed light. We want to start there. Shed light on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation of original break-in, but concentrate on future generations. Therefore, if you break the female mother, she will break the offspring in its early years of development. And when the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you for her normal deliver it up to you for her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original break-in process. For example, take the case of a wild stud horse, a female horse, and an already infant horse, and compare the break-in process with two nigger males in their natural state. A pregnant nigger woman and her infant offspring take the stud horse, break him for limited containment. Completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, whereas you or anybody can ride her in comfort. So I want to stop real quick because it says, now just think about it. If you break the female mother, it says she will break the offspring in its early years. Now that reminds me of, so we've all heard of the stories of our ancestors going through, chattel slavery and all this stuff. So they have to get to the head. They have to get to the mom. So if I break you down and break you down and just deter your fibers and retrain you, that's what you're gonna do to your young one now. For example, what's coming to the top of my mind, and I think we might have brought this up before, but and hopefully you have some other examples, sisters, but um that you don't need a man in the household, you know? So, and I think we're gonna touch on that. But again, if you break the female mother, now in if you go back to the first video we did and what we just read here already, they want to separate the man from the woman. And we know that they've been doing that, the adversary has been doing that with us since the Garden of Eden. Okay. Um, separate the man from the woman, put a man against the woman. So if we've and so that's what we've been teaching our children, is that you don't need to have a man in a household, or you can be independent. Okay, you can be independent. um or maybe we've passed down, okay, your hair doesn't have, you don't your woolly hair isn't good enough. Okay, master says I need to cover it up all at all times, or he says I need to straighten it because they don't like it. So we passed on generations and generations of this little box called just for me to straighten out what was naturally meant to be kinky, you know and all sorts of other things we already we passed down to our younger men, even for our young boys, our sons. And I might be jumping ahead of myself, but this is how they would. I don't want to jump ahead of myself. So this is how they're. Just think as we're reading. If you break the female mother, she will break the offspring. So they're already telling you, I don't need to go to the offspring. I'm gonna do it through the mom. I don't need to. I don't need to get to the wife. I'm gonna go through the man, or vice versa. I don't need to get to the man. We could get to the man through the woman, that type of stuff. And this is how, again, go back in our last video, play the man against the woman. Okay. And so now we pointing at each other instead of pointing at the adversary who threw the rock into this relationship. Okay. So let's keep reading. You had something to say, sis?
Oh, I have a lot of thought, but you can go ahead.
Okay.
You can go ahead and finish.
All right. So let's keep reading. It says, completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, where you or anybody can ride her in comfort. All right. So now she completely just docile is what I'm getting from that. She's just going along, because like they show you in the movie, 12 Years a Slave, they were beaten, and I'm gonna insert those clips if I can. He would beat and beat and beat. I mean, this is just a movie, but this is what they did in real life. They would beat and beat them, beat the woman until you just break down, and then she just completely just submit herself to you, like what they did when they show you in was it Roots with Toby? Was it
Mm-hmm.
Toby? He didn't want to say he did, but they finally got to him, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll be a Toby." Go ahead, sis.
Fear. Fear was the first thing. Because our women, we didn't have a sense of fear because our men, um, we looked to them, but they also knew that the woman was the comfort of the man. Well, after whatever he had to do out in that for master, when he came home, his woman was his comfort. So if you break her, now you've installed fear in her. That's the only way you can get her to be compassive like that. She's gonna be worried about what's gonna happen to him first and foremost, and we still like that to this day. She's going to be worried about what's going to happen to her children. So therefore, she's broken. You break her, you break the whole family in a sense. So when they broke her, or when they broke us, that automatically set it up that now we're teaching that fear passed down into the DNA as in a form of a curse. Because now our women feel like we have to automatically bow to what now the masters of government or anyone else say in order to make sure that our families are good.
Yes.
We don't want nothing to happen to the head. We don't want nothing to happen to the children. So we're gonna have to do, but it's still fear. It was this, it's the installation of fear that they placed into us. That's what I got.
All praises, sis, you're in the spirit, because that fear and worry, again, I think Sister Yeshaya brought that out in the first video, because that fear is a sin. The Most High didn't put fear in us, okay? But he didn't give us the spirit of fear. But now that we're living in fear because of what Mass says, okay, if I don't do this, then this is going to happen. So, and
he's going to hurt.
Exactly. So you ended up doing this, which was a detriment to the family, but it was to keep the family going.
Protect. And you see how we have that sense that we feel like, okay, we're in our mind now, we have to do this to protect. So we're not seeing that they're playing us against the family or using us as a tool, because in our minds now we're protecting our family, we're protecting our husband, we're protecting ourselves, we're protecting our daughters, but our husband is looking at us like, you know, in a way of despising us now. Now he's despising us, and it's like we're going against them. But in our minds, we're thinking we're helping, or we're doing something to protect him. But he's the protector. So in other words, it strips him from his manhood because he's the protector. You see what I'm saying? And it switched the roles in us.
Exactly. That was the whole diabolical plan, because it happened. Right.
And it's still that way.
And again, we're sticking on the female portion of it, but that's what our men also had to deal with on the flip side. The master breaking them down, so not and taking them out of the household where they can't provide, and being what was it, butt and all this other stuff in front of your wife, and your wife being taken for the night by master in front of you. That strips your all of it from
that
you.
Man,
so,
it strips him down. It strips him down. And see how it all was utilized through the woman? They utilized the woman to hurt the husband and the children. So when they say we are a major key to this, because we are to be the helpmeet to the head, but also we are the teachers of the children. Right. So then therefore, if you can break her, you can break the family. Because she has to raise those children. She's going to always be in fear. She don't want that master to put on his hands, because we would give our life for our children. We would give our life for our husband if we had to. But you know what? We'll protect those children because we know that we have to protect them. So therefore, whatever it meant that we had to do, we were going to be in submission to it.
And fast forward to today, what does that look like today for the sisters that's like, oh, that's old, that's slavery. We're doing it today, when the fact that we have to take the black man out of the home in order for you to have a roof over your head, called Section 8 or HUD housing, whatever it is. You gotta have.
You know what? Now you don't even have to take it out. You don't even have to take it out no more. But it's the mind frame that we're in now that you know what? They're not even thinking about, half ain't even thinking about having a man in the home because they're not thinking about a man no more.
Right, but
they're just thinking about that they can do it because now, because now they've been made to be so
independent. They were still doing this. That's why we started off when we first read it. He said, listen, if you do this, you're gonna keep those niggas in check for 300-400 years.
Yep.
That's what he said. And
trickle down effect.
Right.
Down effect.
Right. Because at one point you couldn't have the man in the house, but now they don't even want the man in the house now. So that's how destroyed. Let's read it again.
And it's sad because you can actually put the man on anything now, and they don't care now. But now that you can put the man, they have now broken the woman to tell her you don't need the man, or they play the man against the woman and the woman against the man, to where it puts her in a position as like she's over him in a form of authority. You get what I'm saying? Or when you can add him to your lease, but you're still the head of the lease, which also makes that man feel like he's inferior to that woman. So it's still a mental way of breaking the family in a whole. That's why as women, we have to change the way we think. If we change our thought, our mind, and how we look at ourselves and where we are, and also how we look at our heads or our men, we can change the dynamic and break the curses.
Yeah, well, we know that's gonna break because only sentence us for a certain amount of time, but a lot of us gonna stay locked up mentally because we just do. But that's exactly why we're reading this, because we want to show our sisters that, listen, the reason why you think this way or you're doing these things is half the time not because you want to, and we're speaking to those who who know, but you don't want to, but it's because these are the curses that that trickle down and in your fibers, handed down from your grandmama, great grandmama, all these stuff, willingly, sometimes unwillingly. But this is why you think like that. This is why we're here where we're at right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep reading.
Yep.
So I guess you can write her in comfort. That sentence just blow me.
Shalom, sis. Actually, can you sum up the scripture that you had before y'all started talking?
Passage.
Sum up the what?
Passage. What you just read.
Oh, summarize the passage we just read. So basically, we were saying that it says it to break the offspring, you have to go through the mother. They will focus in on the mom to break the offspring, because like Sister Tazarda said, and we know if we say we followers of Christ out here, or Christians in here, and we read the Bible, that it says that the head of the household is the man, the woman comes after, then the children, and the woman, they rear the children, right? She teaches the children. So in this passage, they were saying if you break the mother, she will break the offspring naturally for you. She will do it for you.
Yeah, Con, I had a scripture for that. That's why I wanted you to sum it up. I'm gonna have Paul read it and bring it out.
Okay, go ahead.
Isaiah 3:12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Oh, my people, they which lead thee, cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths.
Kind. And so that's that ripple down effect. Now I want to go to that scripture and see if I have a precept, but that's that ripple effect now, because at one point we was in order, but now that they don't break the woman now, okay, and now we're thinking that we the head of the households and we got it going on, we don't need no man, and we snap cracking and popping in front of these men, not being shamefaced, all of this stuff, and out there just not being mothers to our children, but acting like we friends, so we allow them to raise hell pretty much, okay? And so that's what that's talking about. Everything is out of order now. So now the kids are out of order, and they're just running around like little beasts on the street, little thoughts and thugs and all this other stuff. All right, so you said Isaiah 3:12. I said, my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. All praises, sis. Did I lose my spot? All right, so So that was a brief summary of what that was saying, really much, and that it says, so I'm gonna continue off where I left off. It says, breed the mare and the stud. Hold on. Okay. It says, breed the mare and the stud, and you until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Real quick, that just kind of remind me of again. Listen, listen. Ooh, what is it? What's the singing? The even the devil knows scripture. The devil knows scripture. The devil know Hamashiach is real. All right, the devil know God is real, and that's why he was able to fool Eve behind in the garden and use a whole bunch of truth, but he threw in a little bit of lie. And that's what they do today. They tell you they tell you some truth, but then they throw in that lie to see if they could catch you with that real. Okay. But what I got from that right there, real quick, breed the mare and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Like how the book says, the man will leave. What is he will leave his wife and children.
He would leave the woman. He would leave his wife and children. Yeah.
Right. And it seemed like it's like a plague. Like it's so prevalent in the Black community because you have a lot of single
Rolling Stone.
Right. Pop was a Rolling Stone. It's so you just go from one to the other, and it's like her house tonight, somebody else has my other girl who got 12, and then he got like 5, 6, 7, children. Okay, so that's
more.
fine. And train the female horse whereby she will eat out of your hand. Again, just docile, just going along. And she will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. Remember, when we started reading, it says to pay attention not to the now, but to the future of what this can look like. Okay, so this is our enemies plotting not for the now, but they plot for 100, 300, 400 years later, like we said verbatim, what he stated before. Okay, they're plotting for the future. We want their offsprings to be docile to us. Okay, for their women to bow down, and for the women, for the mothers to teach raise their little young boys up to not use their brain, but just be physical, just jump, shoot the hoop, throw the ball, okay, be athletic. And that's what they looked at our young men as, just just stallions, just like for to just breed them off and use them as what to do their heavy work, you know what I'm saying, put them out there. Those are the ones you see on the side of the road lifting them bricks and digging them ditch and all of this other stuff. This is what they still do today, okay, because a lot of the times we're not training our young men, our young boys up to use their mind, to think, to read a book, to know that they have a brain that they could use, more skills. They have skills that they can use and not just dribble a ball and dance for massa. Go ahead, sis.
Exactly. They do that. They actually start when they're in, I guess, middle school, high school, all these sports, right? They get them in all this, give them all this attention. And then that's where they feel the easy money is. They make it look like it's easy. So then they never want for themselves. I always think about when people go into like.
Sis, you're muted. Is she okay? I know you're driving. You're muted, sis. You all right?
Oh, I muted. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It muted when I was talking. But what I was saying, I was agreeing with you how they'll start when they're young, right? All the sports and things like that, they'll sit there and try to get them to to be so focused on that. But what happens is they sell them this dream, but when things go wrong. Oh, what did you want to know off the phone?
You muted again. So you muted again, sis. But I'm gonna keep reading and we could come back with your thought. So again, she'll train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. All right. So when it comes to break the uncivilized nigger, use the same process, but vary in degree and step up. No, sorry, I did write that wrong. But vary in degree and step up the pressure as to do a complete reversal of the mind. All right. So they're saying do the same thing, but step it up a little bit. Step it up a little bit because we got to get in his mind. All right.
And why? Because they knew that that's where the Most High dwelt. So if they can get in your thoughts, they become your power. They take away your God and give you them as a God. And that's how they overthrew us.
God, we walk around here like the white man is God. You know?
Well, they gave us nothing but that image. If you don't know where you're from, who you are, and everything you get it from these people. We don't have our own land, our own business, we don't have any of these things. And you're told that you're taken from another place and that you're brought here and that this is not your land. This is not, but all of it was lies. Now we know, but I'm just saying, how else were we to think? Because they made sure that they took that information away by making sure the elders died off with that information when they changed that language and made sure that they weren't able to teach it.
Right. That was one of the key things they said in the beginning: age, language, color. Okay.
And they played every very, see what you said when you said the uncivilized.
Yeah.
So they knew how to play us. They knew that some of us may have higher intellect than the next, but what they did was because someone probably taught them or they were learning because everybody didn't live in the same house. So we always try to teach reading or something to those that was able to get it or understand it. So somebody had to learn so that they can help the rest. We always had somebody that knew how to read or write so that we could help, out of the groups. So basically, if they can play us against each other, we have to go to them in want of everything. Like the scripture said, we would have to go in want to everything. And it goes back to us they knew the scriptures. They knew we were never supposed to put any God over us. So that means if they knew that we knew that our God was within us and was in our mind, and you take and you conquer the mind of the people of God, then you then become their God. So now they're looking to you for everything there is.
Con. And like I was saying, you got to step up the ante, step up your game when it comes to him, because guess what? Like the book tells us, once you lay down with a woman and you humbled her, that's your wife. Or there was a certain way of going about. You're not just, so, but the way they want to so what is it? Reversal of the mind now is now implementing, oh, you don't have to be with this woman, or you could just lay down and have children all you want, or you don't need to be the head of the household. She got it. Okay. You could go and come as you please. All of this is accepted in society. That's why our young men, they feel so glorified when they have more than one female, because they've been taught that,
and they want that.
Right.
They've been shown that in yep.
Right. They've
been shown that.
They've been taught, if you don't even have a girlfriend by the time you 10, 11 years old these days, it's like they look at you like you gay or something. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you ain't slept with 5 of them by the time you're 16, they act like you a punk and all of this stuff. So it's glorified to be spreading yourself thin.
Over sexualized. They over sexualized, especially. Yeah.
And that's
it used to be just our females, but now it's our males too.
Right. And that's the reversal of the mind. Exactly. That's the reversal of the mind, because it was never meant to be so. Okay. So now
they're pushing it in kindergarten.
Exactly. And so again, the woman is broken now. So she's teaching her daughter. Now she's raising her daughter up now. okay, that she could be independent and she don't need to depend on her father, depend on her head, which is what we did. Okay. You could secure the bag yourself. You could have your own house, explore your royal oats and all this other stuff in your 20s, go across the world and all this stuff. That's not how we did things. That is not how we did things. Okay. This is exactly why if we read in what is it, Jubilees, or one of, even in the KJV, when Dinah, you know, the 12 brothers, their sister went out into the next city, she got humbled in that way because she wasn't supposed to be out and about there without some form of male protection. You know, we always need to make sure that we always had a head over us, whether it was our fathers, and then if it wasn't your father, it was your husband. Or if you had 12 brothers or even one brother, okay, that was your protection. Not you just willy-nilly out in the stores and about you downtown by yourself and all this other stuff. Okay.
But even with that, most of our women worked with the husband. They worked, there was a family business. What your husband did, the family did.
Right.
So you worked together. It was never a need to. And if the sisters went out, they went out in groups. You had your mother with you. You had a grandmother. You weren't alone. But not even in just in that. What they teaching now and the way they've broken it down now is that it's not even that they're glorifying it. It's the fact that if you make a man feel, okay, first, it was putting us in a situation that in order to get the help, the man wasn't living there. But then it got to the point they played you against hard for them to get jobs. So then you have to take the help from the government, right? So then the men had to hide or whatever they had to do. Then it went to the point if the man got to keep leaving, it became easier and easier for him to walk out the door. Yes. To the point that then they seen, oh, you know what? Now, then it became a reason or an excuse. Oh, you know what? I got to go. So then that made him not to have to take the responsibility of the family. Because we all got to understand, once they took their manhood and took that from him, also took away the obligation that they had rightfully to stand and be that man.
Right.
And then the woman had to take on all of that. So when she did take on all those forms of responsibility, now you got the woman taking on the energy, the masculinity of the male in the house. And now she's being both the masculine, taking away some of the feminine. And the kids don't go by what we teach them. They go by what we show them. So now we're showing them. We can tell them one thing, but then we showing them something different because majority of the women don't want to be in a household alone. But because of the situations they've endured and everything, a lot of them don't have no choice. But then you guess what? That daughter has now seen that mother go through that struggle, take on that masculine energy, trying to be everything, had to seeing dad come and go because he can't stay in the house, or, air quotes, so to say. But also then you find out you brothers and sisters, they're fighting because now he can't stay with you, he's staying with someone else, another woman, and then another woman, and then it's just a tripling down effect of tearing up the family in a whole. What we show them is what they're learning,
and that's exactly why we when we just read that if we break her down, she will teach them hands down, and they will eat out of our hands like that. So so next it says, I'm gonna keep reading. Take the meanest and most restless nigger, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, the female and the infants, tar and feather him, tie each leg to a different horse in opposite direction, set him on fire, beat both of the horses to pull them apart in front of the remaining niggers. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the nigger male to a point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. Again, think about the future. But take beat him to the point of death in front of the female and infant. They didn't just beat this black man. They wanted to make sure that the woman was watching and the children was watching. because that's another way you were
Why?
able to instill fear. That's another way that you were able to instill, well, dang, the thought process at that point with him being beaten and couldn't do nothing, or I'm being taken at night by massa and my husband can't do nothing about it. That's another way of you
I got
instilling the
no
fact that the black
protection.
man can't take care of.
Exactly.
Right. That was
Yep.
the plan. That is the plan. Because
That
of
was the
course,
plan. And now,
I'm sure he wanted to go in there and bust a cap in Massa's behind before he ran into his wife. But again, thinking on the flip side, dang, but if I do that, they're just gonna kill me and she gonna be here alone, or maybe I get to live another day, or But on the other end, we're thinking, dang, a lot of thinking you can't protect, but this is all part of the plan. Okay, we got to think deeper than that, and that's exactly what we're doing today, because we don't see, they make it hard in society for the black men to be able to get jobs, and when they do have a job, is jobs that can really sustain. We live in robbing Peter to pay Paul, what they say, or we it's just to put this, and we barely do that, and you got this over your head, but yet I don't have that. But yet my boss could give it to me.
Reason why we got to come back together.
Right. But your boss could give it to you if I just get more hours. If I just, yes, master, I'm gonna clock in for 5 more hours. If I just, shake my behind on the pole. You got something to say?
Yeah.
I wanted to add too, on the downside of the men being treated the way they did, and it caused a psychological problem in them. It also caused them to look at the women in a different way too, to where we talk about violence in the homes with the black women, because the men is so insecure and all this anger and all this, and they take it out on the black women. And so we suffer from that way too with this.
Khan, that was brought up.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so, and that goes on every day.
And it's deeper than that, because then guess what? They even taught us how to disrespect that same man. We talk, when we get mad, we tell him he ain't nothing. We tell him he ain't good for nothing. We tell him to get out, we can get someone else. We gonna go ahead and degrade him after they already degraded him more. And then we doing that, most of us doing that in front of what? The children. So then we telling if we doing it to the father, then we teaching our sons, and they ain't nothing. We telling, it's just, it's already psychologically tearing them down.
Like they just said
from the get-go.
Like they just said, if you do it enough, they're gonna do it themselves. We don't need to kill them no more.
Exactly. And that's all they have to do.
Yeah. Just like the killing. They don't need to kill us no more. We are there killing each other. They don't need to.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And destroy, and one way we're killing each other is destroying the household, from the men to the women to the children. But like you just said, Sister Ivana, that's another, oh my goodness, it's just the psychological mind F is just so deep, because that's another way we dealing with that as well. In the I can't even put it into words real quick, because it just boils my blood.
It's slavery. It's still slavery. We're still under slavery.
Yes.
But
we having to deal with, like, why are you angry? Why are you acting this way? Why are you, well, half the time it's not even angry. It's just the fact that the curses you're trying to roll off of is still there. So now it's still there. Yeah, so the way you're coming at me right now, you're attacking me for playing out what I was already told. I need to come out of that. How do we come out? We have to recognize on both sides that, good grief, not only was the black man broken, but the black woman was broken just as much, if not even more, and even more so, I said, because we are the weaker vessel. Okay, and our protectors. You can imagine, the man is supposed to be our protection, and when that is gone, you out there, and you can imagine being out in the pitch black wilderness alone, not knowing what's out there.
And that's the reason. And sis, you said something earlier. You said how the women believing that they don't need a man. Most of our women that are single believe that they can't find a man that will protect them or provide in this day and time. And that's the truth. So a lot of our women are opting out to be alone because most of our men have not realized their worth, or we don't feel like we can still be protected by the man. And that's just the plain truth. But a lot of our women, well, because it goes back to us not having the faith in the man that we should have. But if we knew how to come to each other and treat each other with the love, respect, and care, and talk to each other, because they were taught you don't talk about nothing. We don't discuss it out of a form of respect. But if we don't expose the demon, how are we supposed to put it? How are we supposed to chop the head up of?
How are we gonna get the healing if we don't? And some of the times you can't be.
If we don't, exactly.
It's taboo.
Exactly.
What you've been through, put it in the past. It's in the past. You gotta shut it up.
Yeah, you're supposed to suck it up. Don't talk about it.
Right. But again, and this is why I wanted to do something like this. That's why I'm glad we're doing this, because we don't understand why we do things sometimes. Why we don't understand why we're still single, why we in relationships half the time and they're not working, or we button heads all the time, because both parties are not understanding if you don't, what's the saying? If you don't know where you came from, you're about to repeat it again.
You don't know where you're going.
And you don't know where you're going. But you're going to repeat it again, not knowing you're repeating it, because you're in this endless cycle of this. But this is why I wanted to bring this out, because you could say it ain't real all you want for those who listen and still don't think it's real. But guess what? I'm living proof. You's living proof.
It's a reality.
Is living proof. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So just understand, why is it? Why do you treat your Black man like this? Why are you single right now? Why are we like the big word they like to put out there, bitter? And then you might be bitter, but why? Why? Let's talk about why, because there is a why. There's a reason why you're hurting.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you're hurting. Hurting, even for the Black man. Again, we're not going to get into but even for the Black man, there's a reason why you still feel like you
the sisters, though.
Right.
Exactly.
They both got to go through something. Listen, we dealing with that PTSD. That PTSD stands for post-traumatic slave.
That is so strong.
Okay. And so each party has to go through a level of, okay, let me recheck and rethink some things and sit down and humble, not point at you, but let me heal the hurt that I've been through.
Accountability. You got to take self accountability and start looking and going within. See, when they start teaching us that our God was outside of us, we start looking outside for every reason and every excuse. But we knew before that he was within us. So that meant we would always go within and check ourselves, and we knew where to get the answers from. But when we stop doing that, we start looking outside for a person to point the finger at, a person to accuse, and we stop looking within ourselves to heal. Because as long as we don't go within and start looking at ourselves, holding accountability, standing up, asking these questions and answering them for ourselves, we still enslaved. We still holding them as our God. Exactly. They still our God. Until we know ourselves, we won't know our God. And that's just real. Because he said, the Bible says, your scripture say, God is within you. So in order to know him, you got to know yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're made in his image, that means you got to know yourself to know your God.
Fine. And
they don't want that. They do not want that.
No. But our praises to the Most High, they can't stop it. Okay.
Can't stop
it. He can't. They can't stop it. They was given a time. We was given a sentence, and that sentence is up. Thank you to the Most High. To the Most High. Because guess what? We is coming back, we is waking up, and we is revealing some things, and we ain't outside no more. Thank you. But again,
Listen,
a lot of us still need, counsel, because we're still dealing with stuff. Even though we know a lot of us know
oh,
who we are, and we're, trying to deal with things here and there. It's still some things that we then probably still carrying on that we don't know that we carrying on, and we need to deal with, or
truth is
recognize.
everyday review.
Con, con.
Yep.
So let's keep reading. It says now the break-in process of the African woman. So we're getting into the meat of where we want to read at right now. So it says, all right. So now then take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desire willingly. Test her in a way because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any sign of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract the last bit of itch out of her. And they said it with a B. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Because again, like we were saying before, I don't want my little baby boy to get whipped. I don't want him to get so let me train him up to be a good old, yes, play the ukulele for massa, just, don't read. Then I ain't gonna teach you how to read and write. Need you to be nice and docile, so massa don't know you could read. So I can, all that. This is, oh my goodness. It's so far, we see it today. We see it today. We don't go, now, not saying for all of us, but we don't go have the time for our sons to be academically, out there. We go for them to be out there physically, okay? And even if they did have some academics, it's to be put on the side. Just put all right. Don't let anybody know you got any good brains or nothing like that. All right. And if master do know, he gonna use and abuse that skill, not for the building up of your community, but for the building up of their society, in which keeps us in captivity.
And you can't. And you know what? And even when they do know that you have a child that's smart, they make sure they test them. That's why they start all those tests when they're in kindergarten going through. But when they give them injections, they do a test again to see if it dumbed them down any. And then they start giving them names like ADHD, knowing that means that child probably was just gifted and has a talent. And when they understand what that talent is, then they utilize it for their own will.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what they do.
Yes. Yes. But and again, going back to running these tests on these females the same way they do today when they say you're going for a regular checkup this and a regular checkup that, or whatever it is, because she is the most important fact that they know through us, the child, you know what I'm saying? And so they have Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
They
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing.
All these different Planned Parenthood, Plan B, Plan C, abortions, if
Bush doctors.
If you in there, or maybe 50 baby daddies, or just, or you ain't doing that, drink some more alcohol, like they glorify the intake of narcotics and all this other stuff, because that's breaking down your body, in turn will produce the offspring that is not conducive to our community. Okay, but there go these little like Sister read, Sister Pa'a read Isaiah 3:12. Okay, and children rule over them, because now these kids is growing up, with problems and tearing down the house.
Them demons.
Exactly.
Demons. As long as they can they know that the woman is a portal. Your womb is a portal. They know that you bring in the gods from above through your womb. So if they can keep you in bad foods, if they can keep you in the bad water, if they can break your body down and break down the semen of the man, they understand. If they keep you at your lowest level of carnality, you only seeking to serve your flesh, then they know that's where the demons lurk at. So when you bringing something through, you ain't bringing through no high
Right.
level. Your pretty baby, you thinking you bringing in some divine
Right.
thing, you bringing in a damn demon.
Right.
Because it's lurking around there waiting,
Huh.
and that's what they call them. I think they have a name for them. It's something they call them, not a doppelganger, but it's something else. And they make movies about it, how the baby gets switched out, and they think it's a twin, but the baby gets switched out. You know, they telling you what's really happening in the spirit realm. You know, because these entities hang around, so they keep us in that state. As long as they can keep us at that docile state, with us caught in our flesh, with us with our mind and everything being at that low level of understanding. Whenever we bring it in, we're not bringing in a child from divine. We bringing in a demon for real.
No.
Arguing, fighting, drugs, cursing, all that other stuff. Everything.
Right. And that's confusion. Okay, and they keep you in that euphoria. That's why, you know, everything. What they passed the law now that weed is okay, that weed is good to go wherever you at. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we all know that does something to the inside of your body for your uterus, and for the men to their sperm counts. You know, so our enemies gave us these things. They brought crack cocaine and stuff into the black neighborhoods. They gave us weed and marijuana, all that other stuff. This was never something that we did as a nation. Okay, this was never that they did. Why is it that on the side, and like the book says, they lay at the corner of every street like boars in a net? Our black men are the ones you see on the corners, on on the blocks, okay, laid up all day, looking to slang this, slang that, sell this, sell that, or they smoking this and puffing that and all this other stuff. Our black men, you don't see no other nation out there.
No other way.
You don't see no other nation. You might see one Esau out there. That's the only time he a 1%. You might see one of Esau now, and that's because he what they would call trailer trash and trying to be like one of the black boys. Okay, but it's our young boys that's out there. Okay, and half the time it's the parent that's the parents are okay with that. Some are not all are, but the ones you know who I'm talking to, okay, they know their little boys are out there doing that because they trained to do that from a young, and that's what they see. That's what they see in the household. Okay, or they're not being taken care of at home. They out there walking the streets at 6, learning how to be a little G. Okay, so again, trickling down. This was 300 years ago. This was over 300 years ago. So
because 9 out of 10, that mother's already been destroyed, and she probably hanging on for whatever she can just to provide for the family, and there's no man in the home. See, I don't look at my people the same way I used to. You know why? I can't. Because when you understand the effects that was already lined up against them to tear us down, how can you then point a finger at them? That's why we got to come back to loving each other. We got to come back to helping each other. Each one of us are images of each other. We have to, because we are one. We are one.
We are one.
I have to care about that next child I may see out there, or that sister or that brother that, you know, and no matter what state they're in, because that's still me.
No matter
that's
what
still
state.
Me. You feel what I'm saying?
Like my husband always say, reach one, teach one? You know, you have to look at that other. I have to look at my sister like that's me, because I was once docile. Okay, you don't act like I wasn't just like, yes, master, yes, master. Not saying you don't have to say yes, master, to say yes, master. I was saying master when I was clocking in, yes, and doing thus say it by, you know, what the master say, do this, that, and that. But yet, I think I'm the head of my household at home. You know what I'm saying? So
you at the job all day giving smiles for everybody at the job, but we come home yelling at the kids because we tired. But we come home snapping at that man because he wants something to eat, but we done smiled all day, but we out there got to smile for them. So we out there being pimped all day long, and then you come home and you ain't even got a smile or I love you for your husband or your children.
Right.
Because they done sucked all the life and energy out of you on this job.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Well, done raise little Dwayne up raise Lil Dwayne up to be a basketball star, give him off the east side now. He just, what they say, just dribble the ball. That's all they say. Just dribble the ball. Don't worry about nothing else. Don't say nothing else. Don't give them just dribble this damn ball. Okay? That's all
And
they good for.
meanwhile, they butt breaking him. They butt breaking them to sign a contract, and knowing
Exactly.
that when we find out now, all these contracts that they signed, that they was butt breaking these young boys and molesting them and raping them and all this other stuff. But you know what that little boy thinking about? I gotta give my mama the best because my mama worked 2 jobs to take care of me. My mama or my daddy or their family. And that's the same way they see us try to sacrifice for them. Them kids at young age are learning how to sacrifice for us.
Right.
And it's only our kids that think that way.
And sacrificing in the wrong way because they're introduced to a lifestyle.
They don't know no other way.
Right. Introduced to a lifestyle that they should not even be into. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the entertainment industry or the athletic industry, the sports arena. Introduced to a lifestyle they should not have, for them go into drugs, to a whole bunch of women marrying outside their nationality, all this other stuff. So again, the cycle is there. You might not see it because, oh no, my son making good for himself. He has a house, he has a wife, but yet they promoting him to be out there and okay with the LGBTQ. He out there sleeping with Becky when he got, you know what I'm saying? His wife in the bed, all this other stuff, because that's what they do in this type of, in this space. That's just what you do when you're making this kind of money. You know what I'm saying?
We got to be honest though, because most of our women are money driven and dominant for security. Most of our women, because we're tired, most of us are tired. So when all of us are tired, ain't no most of us. So when you see that we're tired, you know what they're thinking? They won't have to go through this. If they can just be secure, they won't have to live the life that we had to live. We won't have to go through the things we had to go through. They don't have to work until when they 30 and 40, feel like they 80 years old because they don't told about working 2 jobs or doing hard labor just to provide. And that's just how we think. But we think money was the root of solving everything, and it's really not. When you realize who this world really belongs to, this, it's nothing they're not wanting and don't crave nothing from it because all of it belongs to them. That's why he said this world is given over to him, literally. So guess what? Everything we get here is hell. So everything in this world is his.
Right. He gonna dig that you want in front of your face. But all praises. So let's I think I'm on page 32 now, where it says okay, so let's keep reading. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female nigger. We have reversed relationships. There we go again. Reversed relationships. She the head of the household, and he just, he can't help himself. Can't help the, what I'm saying? Can't be the provider, protector. Reverse the roles. Sorry, I lost my space. Reverse relationships. So it says in her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong, so see, they call it uncivilized now. They call it uncivilized, but it wasn't, because listen, in her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency towards her independent male offspring, and would raise the female offspring to be dependent like her. Nature has provided time with this balance. So again, they keep saying uncivilized, but it wasn't an they call what they call this, monkeys, porch monkeys, all this other stuff, uncivilized horses, whatever it is. But they made sure they put natural, because your natural, if you just take out uncivilized there for a second, in our natural state, what we're reading here, she would have a strong dependency on the male, on her head, like she's supposed to. Okay. Yep. And she would have a limited protective tendency. Exactly. We would have order towards her independent male offspring, and would raise the female to be dependent, again, being in order to her head. Okay. So they notated all of that. That we have to get them out of this. That's why they said uncivilized. We're gonna revert, shake things up, and make them, you know,
Wordplay.
civilized.
Wordplay.
Exactly. All right. So let's keep reading. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her hold on, let me make sure I get this real right. From her psychological dependent state, okay, into a frozen, independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring, reverse roles. For fear, like we were just talking about, for fear of the young man's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. So we got ahead of ourselves earlier, but this is what they're talking about here. Again, being left alone, which we should not be, because we should all, what it said with the hedge, where there's no hedge, the possession is spoiled, right? In our culture, in our book, the King James Virgin Bible tells us that the woman is a prized possession and that she should be protected at all times, right? By her head. But they're saying left alone now, unprotected, with the male destroyed. You have to destroy the male. Okay, it will cause her to be psychologically mind-effed. You don't know what to do at that point. You're fighting for survival now.
But you actually putting on that masculinity just to survive. So they've already switched that spirit in you once they've taken you out of your feminine element. Naturally, we can't walk in our femininity if they taken away the male. Now we got to walk in masculinity, which throws us off anyway.
Exactly.
We
and
are
this is
just like that.
Exactly. And like Sister Yvonne was saying, we're still dealing with this. Even if we say we awaken in this truth, we're still dealing with the effects of this. So what does this look like in your marriage now? Because you came out of the world, sister. I came out of the world. And so what does this look like? Okay. When we're having an argument, are we pointing at each other, or we're pointing to, okay, I'm gonna put it like this. Are we coming up
accountability?
Right. Are we coming up to the mat to box, or we coming up to the plate to sit down and really understand? Dang, we was really.
And the book talks about breaking our men, right? But when the sister was bringing out about we can no longer walk in our femininity, it made me think about they're breaking us.
Yep.
Yes.
We're broken.
That's what we read
in the same sense. It was done differently, but we are actually broken in a sense. And that, when we think about it that way.
Yes, that's what we're reading, sis. That's what we're reading. The breaking process of the African woman. Now we know we're not African, but this is how they worded it.
Yeah.
This is what we're reading.
But when they strip us from our femininity, when they take us from our femininity, we no longer teach the children how to be nurturers. We don't nurture them. We don't have no nurturing spirit toward our husband. Therefore, how can we nurture him when we were taken from him to be that to him? So we can't be any of the things that we were supposed to be. We're supposed to be peace. But peace comes nurturing, love. We can't be that whenever we have to step out of our femininity to put on masculinity. There is no way to do that, because now you're unbalanced. You're unequally yoked within your own self.
Right. And see, this is what I'm seeing here, is that there's too many pointing out of fingers. Like, we don't need to name people or name camps or anything, but there's too many pointing of the finger and not enough counsel of what we have been through. Why is it okay? Maybe your counseling session only needed to be 1 hour, but maybe I need 4 days. Maybe I need 4 days of counseling. Okay,
we gonna need about 4.
I need 40 years. I need 40 years. Okay, and just understand it, because a lot of. Repeat that, sis.
I say because a lot of our women have deep scarring, you know.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, I even watch it with my mom, you know, from things that she deep, heavy, long scarring. That, like you say, it's
Long.
The
Don't even know
good
where you
thing
got it
is,
from.
though, sis, by us acknowledging it, we can break the curses and start healing. When we start our healing process, we've already started to reverse and break those curses.
But it's having
Because
those
we have to tackle
conversations.
it.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah,
having
it
those
starts with
conversations
looking.
with our men. Sorry, you muted, sis. You muted.
So like, I had a phone call.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's having these conversations with our men. We should now be able to have a conversation and sit down. Whether it comes up in the midst of a heated discussion, or just sitting down and really just recognizing certain things and sitting down and talking about it, instead of what is it, being looked at like you're like, what's the word I want to use, instead of being coming down on, it should be,
Yeah.
you know what I'm trying to say, instead of coming down,
Instead of seeming like you're out of order, or you're trying to be
which it is out of order, but there's a way that we know we're out of order. We both out of order. But at the end of the day, how do we
exactly? But
you know what I'm saying?
But you know what? That whenever you're sitting down with your husband, you are one. Y'all are one. So whenever you're speaking to him, y'all have to learn how to reason with each other.
And understand.
So therefore, even
right.
And understanding, there is no knowledge without understanding it, without wisdom. All those walk hand in hand. So if you don't get understanding, you will not be able to
have the
have
wisdom.
a successful resolution to whatever the situation is.
Right.
Because there is healing on a deep level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's deep levels of healing that need to be done for our men and for us.
Right.
And our children.
Exactly. Because a lot of the times it's this, or you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this, or you're out of, or she's doing this, or sister, you're doing that, you're doing that. Okay. Well, now, okay, so fine. But we're talking about, well, let me dig deep as to why you're doing this. Let me help you understand why you're doing this. So maybe I know why I'm doing this, but what are the steps to help me get out, instead of beating me all the time? Oh, you out of order, or you doing it, or you doing that. Don't beat me all the time. Okay, we past that now. We know I'm out of order, but I still have to roll out of the disorder.
How do you get back? Yeah.
Yeah,
how do you get back?
It's been 400 years. It's been 400 years, so
but it's not gonna happen overnight.
Exactly.
You're not gonna snap out of it. We don't snap out of it overnight, but it's a process. First, when we acknowledge it, and then we work within ourselves to correct it. But that's where it goes back to the scripture says, by the same measure ye judge, ye shall be judged. So instead of pointing fingers at each other, we point the finger at ourselves, look at ourselves, and start saying, what can I do? That go back to the scriptures tell you to reflect on yourself daily.
Exactly.
When you're on the side of the, when you're getting up before you go to sleep. If we do daily reflections and examinations of ourselves and everything that we do, we can start correcting ourselves. Right. The Spirit will correct us and help us when we're in error.
If we move,
but we have to be willing to accept that we have error, because a lot of us have not had that heart of stone removed. We still think that we do no wrong. We still think that we're,
listen,
that we're right about everything.
Are you a fly on the wall in here, sis? You a fly on the wall in here?
No.
Listen, my husband be telling me the same thing you saying, sis. You better get up out of here. No, no, I agree. I agree. And but see that, but that's the thing. It's just having these dialogues, because guess what? We don't have a lot of people we're supposed to be able to go to our elders, okay, and have the counsel.
We are the elders.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
We are now the elders,
right? So whether it's your husband or your elders, or whoever it is, we should be able to have a real heart to heart and sit down and you understand, feel where I'm coming from, feel where I know you can't walk in my shoes, but you've been alongside me in your shoes, so you should know. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir.
But that's the thing, yo. With two become one. So it ain't no running away. We gonna get this right together. Some type of way we gotta work this out. You know what I'm saying?
Fine. All praises. So then the next paragraph says, you've got the nigger woman out front and the man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep and echo. Good Lord, if the devil don't know scripture. Okay. When I tell y'all, those who don't know and those who ain't awakened, you listening in, Deuteronomy 28, okay, 15 all the way down. Your best 28, 15 all the way down, right? That's the curses. Read all the way through, start there. That's what got me. Okay. Yeah, you got the nigger woman on front thinking she wear the pants and everything. Not by choice. We have to understand, sisters, that we are not meant to be the providers. We're not meant to be we're meant to be the helpmeets to our husbands. And if you don't have a head, you don't have a husband, you're a helpmeet in your society. You are the teachers to the young ones. You are being charitable and doing the things of the Most High. Okay, you're go ahead, sis.
You still building your house for when you do get one, because it still adds on. So you still gotta be that, but you still can walk in your femininity while you're learning, while you're waiting. It can still be done. Because that's the thing. Society made us think that it could not be done. They try to make you think it can't be done. But the thing is, when you feel as though you don't, if you've made up your mind that you don't need a husband, that's when you're still walking in a form of your masculinity, because you've already cut off the male aspect of what you're supposed to have. Now, while you're waiting in hopes, because he that finds a wife finds a good thing, not her who went out there to find no husband, but he that findeth the wife. So you continue to build your home. You continue to build your family. You continue to build your sisters. You continue to build yourself until that time comes.
Right.
That's all we can do.
So you just read that, the woman is up front and the men are standing in the back scared, right? So it just kind of makes me think about what the system is doing to us now, right? You got brothers on child support.
Yep.
You got women who are violent and but it'll be the men who are in fear, because they'll believe her over him, in those type of situations when the police are called. Right. So it's just like there's so much they put us up. And as you read more into the book, it tells you, as long as the women have as long as they've won the women over, then they can control the men, right? And this is one of the ways they do it in this modern times now. They give them the benefits they need so that they can be taken care of by the government. So do you really need a man? You get this free discounted housing and child care. You get child support. They don't get any of the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? Right. And then the women are using this behavior, just exaggerating the behaviors because they know they have that upper hand. And that to me is what that paragraph sounds like.
Yeah, good example. And we got to stop that too. We have to teach these young ones better than that. And if we've told them wrong in past, correct it. It's nothing wrong to say, I was wrong. I was in error at that time. We got to fix it and make it right now. We have to be able to admit that we walked blindly and now we are awakened and willing to change the things that we know we did what was wrong, and admit it to our daughters and our sons so that they don't have to grow up having a stigma against their own woman because they get it from having a stigma against their own mama. Right. So when we can show our sons that we can be corrected, when we can show our sons that we can admit when we're wrong, when we can show our daughters that they can admit when they're in error, then we're already starting to change and reverse the psychological damage that's been done and being caused on us as a people.
And you know what? That's going to take a whole lot of humbling.
And that's like a main place where it starts too.
Right. This is gonna take a whole lot of humbling and a whole
We
lot of
gotta do it.
a whole lot of taking L's, like they like to say these days. Take the loop, take that L. Because half the time,
Hey, we gotta be. But
that's
look how many L's we done already took.
And you know,
yeah.
I wanted to address, you know, I've been
Look.
driving, so I haven't been able to participate too much, but the part where you read about the mom making
Is it me or did she go out?
She went out.
Sis, you still there? We can't hear you. I'm gonna wait till you come back in. We can't hear you, sis. I'm gonna keep reading for
to
now.
hear me, 'cause
You there?
you can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, Salakia, you know, I've been driving, so. But what I'm saying, the part where you read, and you said that the sons are submissive to the mothers, right? And they're strong, but they're strong.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes me think, and you know, the sisters will say they don't need a man, quote unquote. But what are they putting their sons through, right? Their sons are mowing the grass. Their sons are repairing things around the house. Their sons are taking out the trash. Their sons are getting jobs at 16 or selling drugs on the corner so they could bring money to their mama. So their moms have ultimately made their sons those men that they claim they don't need. And this is why those boys are strong, but submissive to the woman. And children need to be able to be children and not the man. This is why we need our brothers in our households as our husbands.
Yeah.
You know, because this is what we're doing.
True.
I was saying, sis, again, the woman out in front, the man behind and scared. It says before the break-in process, we had to alert. We had to, I guess, be on alert at all times. Now we can sleep soundly for out of fear. His woman stands guard for us. We cannot get past her infant slave process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. By the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken and ready for life's sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor force. Okay, so again, like we spoke about earlier when we jumped the gun, talking about how they just glorify them pretty much being
Homosexualize them.
right?
Yeah.
The homosexualize the young
Yeah.
men and the young female, you know, and have them out there. And okay, so let's keep reading this last piece here. Continually, though, the breaking of the uncivilized savage nigger by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independency, right? So breaking her from the male by killing the protective male image, by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male savage. So they're making her independent and making him dependent. And he's supposed to be dependent on nobody because he the head. Okay. We have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the positions of the female savage. We show, oh, Sister Tazar dropped off. She'll probably be back on in a second. We show what we mean by example. Take the case of two economic slave units and examine them closely. So again, they realize that they're taking us out of our natural state, which they call uncivilized, because we were dependent on our heads and our men were independent to anyone else but, right? They made them dependent on Massa instead of their head, which is Hamashiach, instead of their head, Ahaya, right? The Most High, okay? But made the man now dependent, and he's the head. Hold on. All All right, she'll be back. So again, changing the roles, and that's gonna turn on its axis. It'll just keep it going, and once we break her down, she gonna make her kids docile to us. She gonna keep it going for us. This is what they're saying. They're just gonna keep it going, keep it going. Let's breed them, bring them back, take them out, tear them apart. Keep her producing an offspring and making them docile. Set the little girls off so we can, you know, ride them like a pony, and the males off so we could do what we need with them and intermingle them and all, and just keep the cycle going. Okay, this is what we see in our communities today. All right, so I think we're gonna be about finished here with the Negro marriage unit. It says we breed 2 nigger males and 2 female, and we take the nigger males from them, keep them moving and working. All right. Say the one nigger female bear a nigger male, and the others bear wait, I'm reading that wrong. Say the one female bears a female, and the others bear a male. Both nigger females that they just got impregnated by the male, because you know we see this. These have breeding farms. They would have breeding farms. They'll put this, like they would call them a buck, okay, and just breed him and just have him going breeding with all these women, okay. And so they're saying one of those females had a female child, one had a male child. Now they're saying both the nigger female being without the influence of the nigger image froze with an independent psychology, again, which we're not supposed to be, will raise her offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself. Independence and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate at her will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, like we are today for our young boys, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong again. In other words, body over mind. Okay. Now, in a few years, when these offsprings become fertile for early reproduction, and again, I think when we read up, they said that was about 16 years old, we will we will mate and breed them. They're talking about us like cattle, and mate and breed them, and exactly, and continue the cycle. This is good, sound, and long range comprehensive planning. Just repeat the cycle again. The male is now dependent on, and the female is independent now. We done reverse the roles, and now she gonna teach her female kids and her male kids to do the same thing and repeat the same cycle. And now was the marriage unit, or a lack thereof. Okay. And this is why we have our broken households now. Again, this don't trump Deuteronomy. This don't trump the King James Version Bible. Was already prophesied way before this letter even came out. But we're trying to come to you and show you what your enemy wrote for you and left for you, okay? And how much they were able to go into your own history book and figure out who you were and what you were supposed to do in order to figure out how we could flip you on yourself or flip it around. If they had to know. There's no way that they could put you going left if they didn't know that you were supposed to be going right. You know what I'm saying? They have to know that you were naturally, like they said, dependent on your head, on your husband, in order for them to know, okay, I need to make her independent to her husband. Okay, so I could get to her. So I could make her how I want her to be, not how she's supposed to be, not how the Most High said you're supposed to be. And now we trickle down, come on today throughout history with the wearing of the pants, the straightening of your hair, the being the head of the household, talking like you're the man, you know, and just talking down to them, to our men, and acting like men, okay, and not playing our roles according to what the Most High say. All right. So
Yeah, and you took that right out of my mouth because I was gonna say exactly that, sis.
time, time.
We're
Again,
talking. This book is taking us back years ago, right? Years and years, but the cycle continues. Just like you said, they put us in pants. Okay, they got back as family units. Now, how can we start this whole process over? You know,
right,
let's let the women work. Let's make pants for these women. Let's try to change the whole view around once again, but in a different way.
right,
And it works. It just keeps
right.
working.
Exactly, exactly. Because what that's what the question that was asked there, that when they took the chains off of our ancestors, they didn't take the chains off because we were free. They took them off because they already got to your mind. That we just read that. They already got to your mind. It's like a dog. They just compared us to horses, but it's like a dog. You done train him up to know that if he go past this fence, he gonna get his butt whooped. So he ain't going past that fence. He ain't going past. Or you train them better yet, because maybe that don't apply to a dog. I don't know. I don't raise dogs, but you train him when he hear that bell, he coming for his food. It's 12, 3, and 5. He coming for that food. You know what I'm saying? They trained and trained you and trained you. That's why you're doing the things that you're doing. We're in this cycle. We feel it, but I don't know about y'all. But before I came into this truth, I started to feel right before I came into this truth, I started to feel like I was waking up every day and going through a cycle. It's just something like I'm in a hamster wheel. Why do we feel, why is it all the time that we see all Black boys being shut down on these streets, and it seems like it's happening all the time, and then even more and more and more and more will found with their insides gone and all this stuff, and we protest and we this and that, and then we back at work like nothing happened. Why are we going through this? Why is it that we're the ones, our Black women? How many, I might put it up on the screen if I can when I'm editing, but how many babies our Black women abort every year? Why are they targeting our women? Why are they targeting us? We got to ask ourselves these questions. Ask yourself these questions, okay? Just think about why you're doing these things. Again, like we said in the beginning, if you don't know your past, if you think that slavery was just a story or just a letter, you better read the Bible, because it's in there. It is in there. I didn't know it was in there. How many years have been in this truth time? 4 or 5 years, 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. I didn't know slavery was in the Bible. I didn't know that, but it is. Okay. Your enemy had to study you like an eagle studies his prey. He had to study us in order to flip us on ourselves. And this is why we going through our neighborhoods, wonder why we in the hoods. We are the ones in the hoods. We are the ones in the prison system. Your brother, your uncle, your father, right? In the prison systems. 98%, if that's not the right number, it's pretty damn close. 90% of us in there. You don't see Esau getting shot down on the street, or what the world calls the white man, the white boy. You don't see him getting shot down on the street and then talking about the shooter said, I don't know why I shot you. You don't see the Arabs, the Asians getting shot at. No. Is that just why do we think that's normal? Just think about these things. Think about it. All right. So we're gonna end on that note, sis. Anybody got anything else they want to bring out? Because these pages go on for a minute, but we're gonna end on that note, because I just really wanted to dig in just for us, just to really think about the cycles we're going through. Okay. And maybe this is some psychological counseling for some of us to don't know. Maybe it'll help you do some research because you didn't know some things. You might have heard something you heard today. But again, if you have any questions or comments, anything like that, please feel free to drop them. And let's be there for one another, because we are all we have as a people. We are all we have. We can't walk by each other every day and not look at each other, like, because we are going through something. Everybody's going through something. And we have to come back as a nation. We have to come back as a nation. Somebody got to start somewhere. It starts with just, a conversation, just a hello. Just a hello. Let's just start saying hello to each other when we walk by in the streets. Okay. When we see our sisters going through things, let's not look at it like entertainment, but comment on that video, because guess what? She's looking for you to comment. They're looking for you to comment and say some and egg on the entertainment. But when I comment down below, I'll be commenting with some precepts. Okay. I'll be commenting to try to wake you up. To try to wake you up, sister. Because listen, this sorority you in, I don't know why it pop up in the feed, but I take it like this. Why these things be popping up in my feed? But when I take it up as an opportunity to, like, okay, maybe I need to say something, because I don't want the blood to be on my garments. When I see you in the store, I might give you if I give you a flyer, that's why, because we need to reach out to each other. Just reach out to each other. Okay. We are broken, but we don't need to be broken anymore. All praises to the Most High. So with that, sisters, I was gonna say Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.